Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. I wanted to talk a bit about the situation with the proposed undisputed light heavyweight fight between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Now, a couple of days ago, Boxing Scene, Boxing Social, and maybe a few others reported that Mauricio Sulaiman, the president of the WBC, said that they would not sanction that fight because both fighters are Russian. But I believe Beterbiev lives in Canada, or has done for several years. But Bivol, I'm not sure whether Beterbiev's got dual citizenship on that, but Bivol is certainly, definitely a Russian national. And WBC has sanctioned all Russian athletes because of the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, I completely disagree with this attitude, with this policy, because although you may not agree with the war, or you may not side with Russia in the war with Ukraine, I personally don't, although I do think Russia had great cause for concern over the last 30 years, actually, with the way that the West, predominantly NATO, edged towards its borders, having agreed not to when the Soviet Union ended. If you look at the history of it, Russia, they do have cause for grievance, but I don't agree with invading another country and killing innocent people, quite the contrary. So no, I'm definitely not on the side of Russia in the war, but Dmitry Bivol, Beterbiev, and anyone else you want to mention, they are individual people. They are not politicians. And if you're going to say that if you're from a certain nation, your government represents you, well, technically that may be true if you live in a democracy because there's been a vote. But at the same time, I live in the UK, and trust me when I tell you that this shower of shit that we have in office at the moment, and probably certainly have had since, was it 2009, they don't represent me. In fact, if I look over the last 40 years, there hasn't been a single government in the UK that's represented me. So I would resent someone saying that. Well, you're from the UK, so you carry the can for the sins of your elected government. No, I don't. If anything, if you want to use the word, I'm a dissident. Not really, because I'm just a regular guy. But you know what I mean. I'm not politically active. I might go to the occasional demonstration. I have certain political views which are definitely not mainstream. But at the same time, I'm not. I have dissent against my government. Now, I don't know what Bivol or Beterbiev's stance is on the Russian invasion. I really don't. And to be honest with you, I don't really care. The point I'm making is that individual people should not be penalised for the actions of their governments. So for the WBC to say this I think they're completely in the wrong. And I know that they are very, very different situations, but if you go back to the days of apartheid, which I can remember because I'm of a certain age, apartheid, that there was an international there were international sanctions against South Africa because of the apartheid regime, quite rightly, in my opinion. But individual fighters, individual sportsmen were allowed to peddle their wares, if you like, in foreign countries. So, for example, you had Brian Mitchell, who was WBA featherweight and super featherweight champ. I think he might have held the IBF belt as well at some point, but I could be wrong. And he came to Britain and fought a couple of times. He outpointed Jim McDonnell, who you now may know as a trainer. So, okay, WBA is not the WBC, I get it. But there was a concerted effort to sanction activity in South Africa, although certain people, I'm looking at you, Bob Arum, did support fights in South Africa. But the individual fighters were allowed to, go abroad, fight, hold titles, make a bit of money. And Brian Mitchell, the example I used, was very opposed to apartheid. He was an individual who did not agree with the policy of his government. So I think WBC is completely wrong in this sense and should be, to be honest, ashamed of themselves for almost picking on individuals, or for being so intellectually feeble that they can't see the difference between individual people and what a government does. So yeah, that's my spiel on that. I want to see Beterbiev and Bivol get it on for the undisputed light heavyweight title. And Sulaiman, let's not forget that the WBC have been very lenient about certain fighters, especially with regards to PED tests. We've got Canelo coming up on, is it Saturday, against John Ryder. Infamously allowed to get away with a failed test. And in fact, recently Conor Benn, they said they're going to reinstate Conor Benn into their rankings. So they're not exactly some glowing beacon of virtue, the WBC, and Mr. Sulaiman isn't either. I remember Sulaiman's father, Jose Sulaiman. He was kind of the same thing, very much in bed with Don King, and we all know what Don King used to get up to with regards to fleecing his fighters of their purses. But Jose Sulaiman and King were very, very close. Anyway, that's my spiel for today. Tell me what you think. What's your opinion? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll answer to them. Thank you as always for your time. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, because it helps out a great deal, and also hit the like button. And we shall speak again soon, no doubt, very, very quickly. Yes, we will. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your day. Bye for now.